Welcome to Live1.tv's sit-down interview with candidate for U.S. Congress in New York's District 6, Tom ZMICH. ZMICH, a U.S. military vet, is running against Democratic incumbent Grace Meng, who has been embroiled in scandals for attending several meetings with agents from the Chinese Communist Party. She's also a major supporter of the Ukraine war and a receiver of AIPAC lobby group donations. And welcome to Live1.tv here from New York. We have our guest, Tom. Tom, good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is
great to be back.
Tom ZMICH. He's running in District 6 in Queens, New York for Congress. Tell us about yourself and the campaign.
Well, Ian, this time in 2024, this is the third time I'm running with the Republican and Conservative nomination. I am the designated representative to go against the Democrat Grace Meng, who's been in office now for 12 years. And we've ran against them before. They've changed the district lines around, moved the districts a little bit around, but we're still going forward with whatever the changes are. But I basically, I'm retired, and I did 42 years as a construction manager. I'm a veteran of the First Gulf War. Eight years I did in the U.S. Army Reserve. And at this point now, we're concerned, I'm concerned. I have the time to try to save the country from the radical takeover of the communist socialists that have infected our government.
How do you go against an incumbent who's entrenched?
Well, we have a very good opposition research team. They've been digging up a lot now about things that Grace Meng has been involved in. Two recent things that she's been involved in that have come to light is, I don't know if you heard about the Chinese police station issue.
Yeah, pretty big story.
In Manhattan. Downtown in Chinatown.
Let's for people who don't know it, can you give us that story for someone who's never heard about it before?
Okay, the federal government has uncovered there's a bunch of Chinese nationals that set up a international type police station from the CCP in China here in Chinatown. And what it is they used a nonprofit organization to set up camp. And what they do is they pretend to help Chinese immigrants. Okay, pretend. And what they do is, they are basically Chinese spies that have been sent here to go after the dissident type people who went against the government back in China, keep an eye on people, do checks on people, intimidate people here against their families back home in China. And it was just starting to gain some momentum when they broke it up. And yeah,
it was astonishing. This story was in the papers and whatnot. And so what were they doing? Giving money to Grace Meng, the congresswoman you're running against?
Well, basically, yeah, I guess you could say that inadvertently, she is implemented in a Newsweek story from about 4 months ago. Newsweek did an article in their magazine about dark money that comes in from foreign entities and how it works through nonprofits into a organization, a fundraising organization called Active Blue, which supports basically Democrat candidates throughout America. And if you look at some of the filings with the Federal Election Commission for the money, you will see that it's just very erratic the way the funding comes in. I had questioned it myself when I first saw it. Now, obviously, some federal government people are on top of it. But a lot of people didn't even want to get involved with it at first. But now this all ties back to who's paying money to who's getting a kickback, who's doing what. In the Newsweek article, it explains she had gotten $270,000 already, some type of dark money, into her campaign funds over the last couple of years. So that's what they know about. Who knows what else that they have not uncovered yet, because the investigation is still ongoing. Now, because of that investigation, Grace Meng has quietly recused herself and resigned from the ethics committee down in Washington. She was on the committee when George Santos' issue was going on down there, going into the violations and stuff. What happened with him? She was on the committee there when this hit the fan about the police station thing, because they did arrest 2 Chinese nationals for espionage and spying, connected to this police station type thing.
Right.
They're still being in the process of being prosecuted. The case is still pending. But they're looking to see any others that are involved, because even over in Bayside, in my district, there was one officer, an NYPD officer who was Asian, who got implemented and arrested for spying, you could say, spying for the Chinese government here in our area. I guess compromising computer information and classified information from the police department, or down through the lines.
Yeah.
So it's a very big type scandal. And Grace Meng is involved in it. There's pictures of her with the people who actually got arrested, and but this leads back to all her other connections that she's involved in the neighborhoods and the Asian organizations that have their different town organizations from China here in America. Because the way basically what we found out of how the Asian culture is here in Queens is, if you were in, say you came from, what's the town in China, Beijing. You came from Beijing, you would be here in Queens, part of the Beijing Chinese Association, Senate, right? And then, what's another town? Say even Wuhan, where
Xinjiang.
Where you would be that
Shanghai.
Chinese American from Xinjiang's association.
Right.
So, and what I've really understood is there's 56 different cities that have their organizations here. Okay. So it's very confusing, but there is an overall top effect, and Grace Meng is involved with that a little bit because she knows everybody through her dad, who, I don't know if you heard about her dad, right? Her dad used to be the representative. But he got caught bribing the FBI with $75,000, and he did like 1 month in jail supposedly, and then she took over. Wow! So this is a family event. This is typical of Democrats, the nepotism and going back to things that they're involved in over the years, over time, family involvement things, just like I see with Joe Biden down in Washington, his family involvement with kickbacks and payoffs and scandals all around the world now. Right. So we're right in the middle of it all.
We certainly are. While we're talking about Grace Meng, we did a little bit of research on Grace Meng, the Congresswoman in Flushing. She receives a lot of money from AIPAC, which is the American-Israeli Political Action Committee, and $85,000 alone in 2023 to 2024. She also supports the funding of the Ukraine war. And that's something that I think is really important to voters in this election. So Grace Meng is a big supporter of sending American money over to the slaughterhouse, okay? Grace Meng also last month voted to reauthorize what's referred to as Section 702, which enables the National Security Agency to continue bulk collection of Americans' private records. So she's really on the wrong side of liberty.
The wrong side of our freedoms, the wrong side of the constitutional rights, the wrong side of everything.
That's right. So, Tom, how are you going to reach all these people? How are we going to convince Chinese people who
maybe have a natural affinity to vote for race. How are you going to run this campaign?
We have some of our information comparison stuff in Chinese that we give out. This is one of the flyers that we give out in Chinese.
Oh, great.
You know, which means that stuff means this. This is in English.
Right.
So, people can, they want it in English, they want that. And plus, like I said, we try to reach out to everyone. We even have, who to vote for in Spanish. But with the difference between a Republican and Democrat, and because my district basically is 70% immigrant, either first or second or third generation immigrant.
Yeah.
A lot of the elderly people who were here, passed away, moved out, gone. New York was getting crazy. A lot of people moved. The immigrants are replacing them very fast. They're coming in, and families coming in. They put their money together. They buy a house. They all, they all support each other, just like they do, back home where they come from. So we reach out to them to try to explain to them about how the taxes work here, how the system is, what they're entitled to certain things, but we prefer you come here and invest money, start a business, or go to work and get a job. We don't want people coming here just to collect a check, like a lot of these illegals that are coming across the border are. They're being given everything, and debit cards and free medical, and what about the people that have been here? That's basically a lot of the gripe, the gripe that the established immigrants already have here, because they've waited 5, 10 years, 15 years. They've went through the system. They've paid money. They came here legally. So, most of them came legally. Even the illegal ones have gotten a chance, but they had to go through the system. Now they're very upset because these new immigrants that have come in, over 18 to 20 million now over the last couple of years, they're being put in the front of the line. They've already stopped about 365 known terrorists that they know about from Interpol and around the world already, just on our board, that they stopped. Who knows how many got in already? And Greg Spring is all for this. Hey, everybody come on in, come across the border. So, we've, as the Republican Party, have taken over that new role here in America of representing the basic middle class working people, families that are working for a living. And like I said, I was in a union. It was very, very good to me for 40 years or so. I supported my kids, my family, my wife. I had a house, and we did it on one salary. Nowadays, you can't. We're all different issues. People help us out.
Hey, Tom, tell us about the name ZMICH. Where does it come from, and a little bit about your ancestors?
Well, that's another thing. Yeah. You see, I'm the product of immigrants. I'm actually probably fourth generation. Third generation. My grandparents came over here from Poland right before the First World War, because there were tensions going on and things happening at that time with the Archduke. If people know their history, it was a very turbulent time in Eastern Europe at that time, 1908, 1909, in that area. And they came here to New York, to Ellis Island, stayed there for 60 days, did their 60 days quarantine before they were released off the island. They got medical clearance and came to work. But in order for them to come here, in order for everything to happen back then, they had to have a relative here already. So my grandmother already had a relative that actually was here. Okay. And my grandfather also, too, he was a shoemaker. And one big famous company over there. And the company opened up a shop here in New Jersey from Poland at the time. And they were asking people also, he had a job, so that's how they allowed him to come in. He was already set to go to work. And basically from there, the family history going through is, like I say, like it says on the website. My grandfather actually, he was here a couple of years. He got drafted for the First World War. He was only here for about 6 months or so, but he actually got drafted and was in the service for 6 months, ready to go until the war stopped, and then he cut him out. Then like I said, my father, He volunteered at 17 for the Second World War, and he served in the Pacific and the Navy. My brother volunteered and went to Vietnam, and I'm a Gulf War veteran. Like I said, I was in the Army, the Army Reserve. We got called up to, for about 7-8 months. You know what I mean? But I did 8 years altogether.
And I think your beautiful wife has a son in the military too.
And yes, my stepson, Ryan, is just finishing up his first tour of 4 years in the Marines. He volunteered and went in, and they've made a man out of him. He really enjoys it. He's a total different person. When he left here, the streets in New York, going on, I mean, he went to California, went through all the stuff, but he actually he wants to wear a mega hat now. He left the streets, and now he's, I don't have a mega hat. You know what I mean? So it's kind of funny. I mean, his ideology changed with seeing what's going on around the country. Not just the city. See, the city's like its own little microcosm. You know what I mean? And if you don't get out of this New York City, you have no idea what's happening out in the world. You know, and so he did. He finally got out. He went to North Carolina, South Carolina, Camp Lejeune and stuff. And then went to California, and, you know, meeting other fellow Americans who joined the service and from where they're from, with different ethnicities.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of Hispanics who are in the Marines and stuff.
Right.
He got to see and evolve into the man he is now by just having that contact with certain people around, you know, to be out there and conversing and seeing where other people, how they grew up, what happened to them. You know, because when you're on the streets of New York, it's like, you know, survival of the fittest here, you know, in a way. So you start to meet other people around our country. And it was great. It's a great experience, man. He really enjoyed it. And I remember there's about roughly 9.5 million people here. So you're talking at least, maybe 15, almost 20% of the population is illegal. So now, out of control with all
I'm laughing because New York is being destroyed right now.
And
it's not just illegal immigrants, it's our leadership, our political leadership.
Yeah, they have no conscience of what the implications are. As you know, years ago they say, "Oh, you're a prophet. You can't." No, anyone with basic common sense can see it's going to be a problem down the road if you invite everyone and their mother-in-law to come here and say you'll take care of them for free. I mean, of course, who wouldn't come? Think about it. I mean, even me myself, if there was a country out there that said to me, "Come here, we'll take care of you, we'll set you up with everything," I'd leave here and go. Right. I mean, because they're already paying for the illegals here now in the hotels, like $368 a night for each one of them. So who wouldn't want to take that deal? You get a debit card, you get an EBT card, you get a food card, you got free health insurance. You don't have to do nothing. If you go out and look by Creedmoor Hospital, where a lot of these 2,000 illegals are camped out in the tents there, they got nothing to do all day. They had to shut all the parks, so nobody can use the parks, because these people, they're out there smoking pot and drinking beer all along Hillside Avenue, right outside of Creedmoor. And the cops and nobody's doing anything about it. You know, it's out of control.
It's the human condition, and the cops want to smoke pot and drink beer.
They want to sit there right with them because you can't beat them, join them, right? If their hands are tied, there's nothing they can do. What the hell? You know, but this all goes back to when they were throwing the water on the cops back in the Blasio day. You know what I mean? They let them get away with that. Then look how it blossomed out to all the total disrespect of any kind of anyone in uniform here in New York. Yeah. Anywhere at all.
Tom, thanks for giving us a wake up here on the situation we're in, and I certainly hope your conservative views get into power. Any last things you'd like to say before we wrap up?
Well, just for everyone out there, if you believe in the American way, in God, in family, in life, Second Amendment, and the America First agenda, you can vote for me this November 5th. Because that's what we stand for, and we've always stood for it. Because we believe that you need somebody to represent you, for the government to stay out of your life. You know, that's basically what a lot of people just leave me alone. Do what I want. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not doing anything wrong. Leave me alone. That's where I come in. That's what I represent. For the government to let free enterprise run its course, let capitalism run its course, and God bless America.